Hello and welcome back to a brand new vlog. My name is Orion. I make videos every single Wednesday and Sunday and post them at 6 p.m. where we are currently DIYing and renovating our home and creating things like this. We have already finished the bedroom and Jess is currently moving stuff in and her crafting space is slowly but surely coming along nicely. Meanwhile, I have been building like a dining breakfast nook bench thing that goes in the corner here. And in the last vlog, we got most of it finished with the cladding on and the end pieces on. But today we just sand it all down and get ready to paint it. Which also means we've got to fill in a lot of the gaps that have been left and obviously caulk the end grains so they're ready for paint. Because hopefully that will give it a nice clean finish when it's all covered. Not only that, but I've decided that with these like kickboards that are essentially doors that pull down, I'm going to basically create some finger holes in them so you can stick your hand in there to pull it out, because when it's in, it's very hard to get out. And on top of that, I've got some cabinet magnets that I'm going to put on the inside, so when it goes in, it magnetizes to that, so it's not going to just fall off its own accord. Hopefully we'll end up with a nice kickboard that is like kind of seamless and doesn't look like it's meant to come off, but if we need to, we can get in there, because all of my tools that are currently plaguing my kitchen are going to be going in that. Depending on how much progress we get done today, there's a lot more stuff that I need to get on with as well, but we'll leave that for later in the vlog. For now, let's get the sander, a freshly charged battery, and let's get our first job done. Okay, we have got this now nice and level and smooth. I think I'm going to go around now and remove these screws just to see if it's actually stuck on properly. Which it looks like a bit of overnight glue with some screws to hold it in place has worked a treat. So I'm going to go around and remove all the screws from these panels here, like so. And after some assessment, some of it hasn't actually glued in. So I'm going to have to put some more glue on that and hope it stays in place. I think by not waiting in the last vlog to sand this down, it's actually like with the vibrations of the sander, it's pulled it off. So even with the screw in place, the glue maybe hadn't set. And maybe I just didn't put enough glue on these panels. So I've glued it back in now, leave it in place, and it should stick perfectly fine. However, all of the other panels are completely good to go. So I'm gonna go around with some wood filler and fill in all the screw holes that I've made. And I don't have a smaller putty knife, so I'm using a kitchen knife. Yeah, please don't judge me too much for this, but it does the job. Now that we have got all of the screw holes filled in, I think it is time to tackle putting some handles in these doors. Now, for aesthetic reasons, it probably makes sense to put the handle in the middle. However, on the other side of where I'm going to basically put a hole in here that you can put your hand through, there is a big piece of timber there. So I'm going to have to do one here and then one here. So you've got two handles for this one and then just one in the middle for that one. I also get one chance at this because I don't really want to replace this board if I make a mistake. So I need to make sure I measure twice and cut once. One thing I have just realized is that this door is like super snug and there is absolutely no way for me to get it out. So I'm going to have to prise that out. I swear I just lent it to, I never pushed it in, but... Anyways, now that we've got that board off, let's find the center point of this one, which is right there. Now I need the center point that way and the center point that way. Then we need to account for this top piece here. And now that we've got all of that marked out, we just need to figure out where we want to stick our hole. And then with our drill, we're going to make the holes.
All right, there is no going back after this. I'm hoping that this is good. You know what I'm really worried about actually? It's making a hole on the other side. Oh dear, I don't want to split the wood. I think I should turn it over. Yeah, in an effort, because it's plywood, I don't want to peel off and stuff like that. If you look on the other side, I've just about punctured a hole through there. So I'm going to flip the board over and continue the hole from the other side. Because when drilling from top to down, it's actually like a really nice clean circle. And I don't, obviously, like I said, I don't want to split the plywood and stuff like that. So I'm going to do this 3 times and then over here as well. And then I'm going to flip the board over and do it from the other side. Going to be painting it, I should have just cut from the other side first. Either way, I've committed. I've got 3 holes here. I've got 3 holes here. Let's flip this thing over. Okay, let's try this again. 1 hole. 2 hole. 3 holes. And you know what? I think that worked out for the best. It is a nice clean hole. Now, what I was gonna do next is I was gonna jigsaw across these and then sand it all out so it's kind of like a really nice hole. But to be honest, from a distance, I kind of just like the 3 holes on their own. I don't know, it might look weird, but I kind of like it. And perfect timing, the magnets have just arrived. And what I am going to do with these is basically stick them onto here, onto the frame, and then one onto the end there, and then same on the other end, and then when you push it up, it'll actually magnetize to the frame. A few screws later, this should magnetize onto there, and it does. The kickboard now has a little bit of give to it, so it snaps onto there. Perfect. The only thing I really need to do is recess it into here so the board doesn't sit away and not flush with the rest of the seat. So what I've done is I've marked out where the magnet's going to go. I'm going to score it with a knife and then I'm going to chisel the rest out. One chiseled hole later, that should slot into there nice and cleanly, and it's very flush. And then with the help from Benji, we can screw it back into place. So when we put this back into place, like so, it sits nice and flush. And with one door perfectly finished, it's time to repeat the process for this one. And just like that, we have got it completely done. Not 100% sure about the vents that I've essentially made there, but they work. And it's kind of looking like a sauna now that I think about it. I am really hoping once it's painted, it won't look like that, but we'll see. For now, I need to go around and fill everything, including the end grain. And that is going to take quite some time. So we've got the GoPro and it's time for a time lapse. And what feels like an age later, I have got it all filled and covered. I'm not entirely sure if I was meant to fill the end grain, but I saw it on the internet, so here we are. In effect, what it does is it fills in all of the little gaps and holes that happen in the plywood because it's inconsistent, and then when it's dry, I'll sand it all down and it should give me a smooth finish to paint over. But right, whilst I wait for this thing to dry, I think what I'm gonna do is organize the kitchen that is currently full of tools to get ready to go into the bench. So right, this is what it looks like before I have put everything into there. And it's tidy, not clean, but I am very surprised at how it looks like after, because all of my stuff actually fits perfectly in there. I have got like all of my screws and drill bits and all that kind of related to drilling stuff there. My painting and gluing and filler stuff. And then my saw stuff is all in there. I was kind of worried that that wasn't going to fit in, but it does. It might look like chaos in there, but it is actually relatively organized. But it serves a purpose. We built a bench and we can store all of our tools in there so I can stop taking up the airing cupboard. Because for the longest time, I just stuck them all in that box and somehow I just crammed them into this little closet. But this is much better. But it is now the next day and I am hoping all of the polyfiller and stuff has dried so I can sand it down and get ready to paint it. And to do that, I'm going to be using a fine sanding block and some wood and metal undercoat primer water-based paint. I actually received some recommendations for some other stuff, but they didn't have it at home base, so this is what we got. Now usually I'd use the mouse to do the sanding, but I don't want to take off too much, which is why I've got the fine sanding block. However, I might use that in a little bit because I do have some fine grit paper. But before we crack on, I need to put some tape down so I don't get paint on the carpet. I did this in the bedroom and it worked out great. So we're going to put some tape all around the edges. We're also going to take the doors off to be painted separately. And I think we're ready to grab the tripod and begin sanding down and painting all of this. Okay, that is one coat done. And I'm not sure. Obviously, it needs to dry so I could put another coat on it so it basically covers up a lot of the wood, but is it covered together? Man, I'm just so unsure. But right, whilst we wait for this to dry, I have got some window film that I'm going to install on the windows, and it's blackout. Basically, behind my desk, I'm going to be putting bookcases in the side of the door frame, and then behind it, I'm going to black out the window so it doesn't let light through. I used to use a blackout blind for this, but I've taken it down, and I think this film's going to work better. Now, I can't film it because I'll dox myself, so I'm going to show you what it looks like afterwards when I've got it completed. Here is panel number 1. Big fail there. I have now learned I need to cut it a little bit bigger than the window frame, but it's fine because it's going to be behind a bookcase anyway. And I'm glad because that looks fucking awful. There's not much more than painting that I hate, but that was something else. Either way, it does an absolutely great job of blocking the sunlight coming in, which is precisely what I need it for, because when I put these things back up in the door frame, I don't want any light coming through. I have actually really considered changing like my office area slightly, even though like I'm gonna probably keep the bookcases there because I like showing all of my stuff when I have my camera pointing at me. But generally, I'm quite stumped as to what to do with this space to mix it up and make it feel nice again. Because it has to be said, this is the one thing that I am not looking forward to when I return here. Working in the lounge with the kitchen behind me and just being in this area, it's not good for working, but we may do with what we've got. And I'm gonna see what we can do with this. But right, this is now dried, so it's time for coat number 2, which now looks like this. I'm still not sold on it. It gives me like church pews vibes, which I guess essentially a bench like this is what that would look like. But it has got its primer on it now, so I can paint it whatever color we decide to paint it. And I am considering making it green, but if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments down below. I think as it's just like there on its own in the lounge, it kind of looks out of place a little bit. But to be honest, once you get a dining table in front of it, a lot of the stuff like the holes and the sockets in the corner you won't see, and I think it'll tie in a little nicer when there's a table there, which I'm really hoping that this will look okay with a table, because right now I'm just really not sure. On the plus side, I've essentially replaced my corner sofa with a corner bench with storage under it, so it is practical from that perspective, and maybe when I get a cushion on it and it's painted it will look better. But for now, it's essentially done. I need to now move the furniture out of the corridor into the room, like put the bookcases back up there, put furniture back up, put the TV back on the wall, and basically get a cushion for this and then paint it whatever color we're going to paint it. And we're going to be doing that in the next vlog. So if you have enjoyed this one, please leave it a thumbs up rating. I would appreciate that. If you are new around here, feel free to subscribe. But as always, leave a comment down below with suggestions and feedback, because I do take it on board. I do read all your comments and reply to them. So please do let me know what you think. Down below, be as critical as you like. I'm really not going to be emotionally hurt by what you think of it. At the end of the day, I made it myself and it serves a purpose. As an actual like unit, I can't believe I've actually built it, to be honest. But anyways, guys, it's been Orion. Thank you so much for watching. Peace, much love. Bye-bye.